You just have to wonder if he did it. Like, honestly, you just are sitting here right now wondering if Dan Lanning walked into Oregon's athletic complex, sat down with the players, had a meeting, and then paused and went, you know what? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Because that's exactly the way that everyone feels since Dan Lanning has announced he will be returning to Oregon for the 2024 season, not headed down to Titletown, Tuscaloosa. So what does this mean for the future of the Ducks? And more importantly, where does Alabama turn for their heir apparent of Nick Saban? That's what we're here to discuss. But if you are new to the channel, welcome on in. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, simply because the clock has struck zero on 2023 does not mean we are going to stop making content. We'll talk everything about recapping 2023, a look ahead to 2024, the biggest coaching search in the history of college football since 2007, and a bunch of other nonsense. So make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Tell me your thoughts on Dan Lanning saying, "See you later, Alabama. I'm going to stick it out with the Ducks." Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, Alabama aficionados, college football fans everywhere, and Duck faithful about this channel, because we are on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Go ahead and follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. I call it Twitter. You call it X. I don't really care what Elon wants to call it. But that way, we can make sure that we're calling out everything in the world of our favorite sport. Dan Lanning is saying no to Alabama. This is monumental for a gratitude of reasons, but let's start off with just Dan Lanning in general. If you are a Ducks fan and you watch the video that just came out on Twitter, you are ready to run through a wall. You are ready to bet all of your house money on the lottery numbers. You are expecting grandeur things to happen today because this is the ultimate exhale that you could ever ask for. Oregon is a great program. I will stand on that for as long as I live, and especially in a brand new era of college football that we're entering. Oregon is one of the pinnacle schools that will always have the resources, the funding, the backing, and the support to be able to win big in the Big Ten. But it's Alabama. It's Alabama. It is something about the Walk of Champions, the pedigree of walking into a stadium like Bryant-Denny. It's something about the fourth quarter as the red lights are ablaze and all you hear is hundreds of thousands of faithful screaming, Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Their pure disdain for their SEC brethren. There's just something different about Alabama. And it's a hard job to say no to. It's one that often doesn't come around that much. Like, we don't see constant change at this position. Maybe when Nick Saban was first hired, many people thought, oh, he'll just take another job eventually. But 17 years later, here he is walking off into the sunset, holding arms with Miss Terry and expecting grander things in his life. This is a special job. Oregon's a great job. Alabama is about as elite as they come. There's about maybe 2 jobs in the world of college football that you turn Alabama down for. Oregon is not one of them, but lo and behold, it is. And for Dan Lanning, this is monumental because of now he's establishing his own identity. Back when Texas A&M was making the hirings for the Jimbo Fisher replacement, and they ultimately set it on Mike Elko, I reached out to a few people, and they all told me the exact same thing. Don't hold your breath. Lanning is happy in Eugene. Lanning is happy where he is right now, and it's going to take a lot, not funds, not resources, not annual salary to pry him away. It's going to be something that we don't even know could be unheralded. So he was never in the running for the A&M job, and Alabama's different. But it's clear he wants to create something very unique in Eugene, and he has the ability to do so. One thing that stands out about Lanning this past year that I thought was phenomenal is not just his ability to build a roster with a coaching staff similar to what Kirby Smart does, regroup, replenish, and not worry about what the consequences are in the offseason, but his ability to establish baselines throughout the country. If you look at their roster, it was a Frankenstein monster. They had offensive linemen built for the Big Ten. They had wide receivers that could strut their stuff in the Pac-12. They had a quarterback that hailed from the SEC, linebackers and running backs that could have easily fortified their status down in the Southeastern Conference. They had special teams galore. They had a defense that was fundamentally sound. They had everything going for them. And this mayhem of all these little bits and pieces that could correlate to any conference in college football, dominated. They were the most consistent program in the Pac-12 this year. They had a Heisman-worthy caliber quarterback in Bo Nix. They had two 1,000-yard receivers that really benefited from learning underneath first Kenny Dillingham and then Will Stein and Troy Franklin and Tez Johnson, and they went 12-2. I mean, we talk about what Kalen DeBoer has done his first 2 seasons in Seattle, which is beyond promising for their future if the future does reside with him calling the shots. But you got to talk about Lanning. Year 1, 10-3, top 10 finish, finds a way to win the Holiday Bowl. This past year, 12-2, wins the Fiesta Bowl over Liberty. 1 loss during the regular season, and it comes to the team that played in the national championship. Both losses this season came to the team that was going into the fourth quarter, still having momentum enough to contain a battle with Michigan and their physicality. Those are his 2 losses. He's 22-5 in 2 seasons. He's built a wonderful recruiting class, top 10 this year. And the transfer portal has been running rampant in favor of the Ducks. It is quackers to think that Oregon at this point is turning into a pipeline program that can be successful. And here's the thing that when it comes to Lanning, it's not about replacing Nick Saban or being the guy to replace the all-time great. It's something about knowing where you reside in your current status that I think really makes this hire so different than anything else out there. They're going to the Big Ten next year. They have a veteran quarterback coming in Dylan Gabriel. They have a good background for their future with Dante Moore at the helm. And they feel like that with the money that they have, Phil Knight's going to be dosing out NIL funds like it's no one's business. Here, you get insurance to Nike. Here, you get 5% to Nike. Here's 5% of stock to Nike. You'll be set for life. Like he's got that under the wraps. But when you look going into the Big Ten, Oregon actually has a shot to winning year 1. Oregon has a shot to be one of the premier programs in a brand new conference, despite being the newcomers. They really do. You look at the way the roster is constructed, the way that they're able to build pipelines and recruiting hotbeds across this country, and the ability to convince kids, don't stay in the SEC. Don't go to Ohio State. Don't go to Michigan. You don't want to be at Penn State. Look at what they've done forever. Look at us. We're on the come up. And we know that when we come, we're either going to take you down or you can be a part of the ride. Sign on up, buddy, because I think that you want to be a part of something special. That's Lanning right now. And so they have a shot to win very early on, establish a culture and an identity that will make them not only one of the premier programs in the Big Ten, but arguably the biggest program in all of college football. And they could be one of those teams that we talk about in this brand new era that had the same type of success as Clemson. Clemson was the breakout team of the college football playoff era with 4 teams because of they always were good, but now they were competing for national titles. Now Dabo Swinney was building a roster that was basically up to par with Nick Saban. And that's the way that I view Oregon going into this new version of the college football playoff. You're a top 3 team in the Big Ten. Congratulations. Welcome to the show. You're going to the college football playoff. You're a top 3 team in the Big Ten. Every single year, you're going to land 5-star recruits. And now you're going to take recruits away from players that want to go to Ohio State or go to Penn State or Michigan. And they're going to be strapping it up in Eugene, and the culture is going to be booming for the foreseeable future. If you turn down a place like Alabama, where else do you turn? That is probably the best feeling for Ducks fans right now. It's not the fact that Dan Lanning said thanks, but no thanks to a place like Tuscaloosa. It's who else is going to offer something? Because there is no loyalty when it comes to the state field in a term like Alabama. He coached at Alabama. He coached at Georgia. He knows the SEC very well. But this guy's from Missouri. And I love what Eli Drinkwitz has established in Columbia. But don't kid yourself for any second. Oregon is a much more stable and up-and-coming and really established program than Missouri might ever be. So he's not going to leave and make this lateral move. He's there for the long run. And how fitting is this for Oregon fans who had to watch the last few coaching cycles end up in dismay, and you felt like a stepping stone. You felt like you were the red-headed stepbrother inside of the family of college football that always got the short end of the stick. Willie Taggart comes to you for 1 season. It's fine, nothing to write home about, but immediately takes the job down at Florida State. You get Mario Cristobal to come in. Cristobal's good. He calls offenses really well. He establishes a great recruiting class. He helps you win countless titles. He brings you to a New Year's Six Bowl, and then he wants to go home and go to Miami. And now Alabama's calling. for your coach. And Phil Knight's sitting there saying, I will offer you all the resources possible, and here's 45% of the stakes in all of Nike. And it's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm okay. Thank you, but no thank you. I like what I'm doing right up here in Eugene. That's the ultimate winner if you are an Oregon fan. This guy is here for the foreseeable future. This is your new Steve Bellotti. He's not going anywhere. It feels like that he is locked in and hell-bent on bringing a title back to Eugene. And more importantly, this is a guy that's ready to write his own legacy out in the Pacific Northwest. If you are an Oregon fan today, do me a favor. Go ahead and pop open the bubbly. Go ahead and enjoy an ice cold beer on me. Bet the lottery numbers. Go speeding down I-45 or whatever the hell road you have, simply because this is the ultimate feel-good moment for your program. Oregon's not trending down. In fact, they're just getting started. And Lanning, he's not leaving. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.